Hello. Hello, hello, hello. We're live. Almost half an hour after I thought I was going to be live. I am so incredibly sorry. I am pretty much always on time. I hate being late. Um, so I'm genuinely sorry that I'm late. And now I'm in the wrong live stream because the settings were set for streaming software and I don't have streaming software. So I had to switch it to webcam. Long story. I'm here. We're here. If you're here, let me know in the chat, and I just hope you'll all join me soon so that we can talk and I can answer questions and we can still have about an hour together before I have to go. So if you're here, please say hi. I see Angelina. I see Sri Lakshmi. Am I saying that right? Please let me know. Brienne is here. Welcome, welcome. Where are you all from? I love the international vibe. Last time there were people from just all over the world. I mean, how cool is that? And I said it then too, I think. It's just so intriguing to me that here we are in vastly different cultures, and yet our fear brain works the same. It's so interesting, isn't it? Sri Lakshmi is from India. Welcome. Love your content. And that's what I mean. I mean, India is, I would love to go to India someday. The culture is just so interesting, and it's vastly different from the Dutch culture. And yet here we are having this same experience and the same thoughts and the same ways our brain work. Isn't that interesting? Brienne is from the USA. You're in my program. That's amazing. You're doing the Healed and Happy program. How far along are you in the program? And what have you noticed so far about things getting lighter, better, more peaceful? Angelina said, I wanted to ask how to deal with arguments as a fearful avoidant. That's a very broad question. How to deal with arguments. Do you mean when there's something that you want to talk about that turns into an argument? Do you mean when your partner starts an argument? So please specify a little bit more and I can answer you better. So we did a poll. We did a poll on what you wanted to talk about. And I don't know if you, the one seeing this now, answered the poll, but the winner was jealousy and the fearful avoidant. And so I thought that would be a great topic to discuss on a live stream. So if you have any specific questions about jealousy as a fearful avoidant, then ask them and we will talk about it and we will discuss it and we will learn together about jealousy, specifically pertaining the fearful avoidant. For the questions today, I will try my hardest to answer at least one question per person. So if you have 10,000 questions because your fear brain thinks, oh, this is the moment to ask all the questions, please ask your fear brain, well, what is the most important one? And better yet, don't ask your fear brain and just see what the wisdom of your body wants to know. See what the wisdom that is inside you wants to know. And if you could specify them to jealousy, that would be great. And also, last time on the live stream, there were a lot of partners from Fearful Avoidance. And I love that you're here. I love that you want to learn about the Fearful Avoidant. And this channel I specifically made for fearful avoidants that want to heal, because there is a big difference between fearful avoidants that are not interested in healing, that do not even know that they're fearful avoidants, and fearful avoidants who are actually doing the work. Every single fearful avoidant that is watching this video or any of my videos, doing the program, that is the fearful avoidant I am speaking to. And I want to be there for you. I want to give you all the tools and all the possibilities to heal. So just know that if you're a partner of a fearful avoidant, I so appreciate you being here, but I will prioritize the questions asked by fearful avoidants. Brienne says, I'm noticing crazy shifts, but they go back and forth literally by the day. That's good. And you probably notice that those shifts, they don't keep going from like 0 to 100, 0 to 100. It's like 0 to 100 and then to 20 and then to 100 and then to maybe 30 and 110. And that way you keep going forward. I think one of the hardest parts in the healing process of the fearful avoidant is that you want it to be linear because you crave security and stability. And yet the fearful avoidant obviously also likes intensity. And so things just go up and down quite a bit. So the healing process of a fearful avoidant is never linear. And yet we have this obsession with having to have it fixed and be perfect and not having a relapse ever, which is not, it's not realistic. So Lakshmi says your channel is super relatable for me. Thank you so much. That is, isn't that amazing? I'm so happy you are here. I am so happy you are here, and I'm so happy that it is relatable for you. Brienne says the OCD is the hardest part. Yeah, if you really are in the thick of OCD, that is hard because your fear brain just wants control over everything and above everything. So it definitely doesn't want to heal. But as you know, in the program, we take your fear brain along. So you will, step by step, you'll get more peace. Could I make a video on anger? I could. Do you have a more specific question? Because there is about 20 different topics I could make about anger. Is it your ability to regulate it? Is it that you don't want to get angry anymore? Is it that you feel guilty after anger? Is it that you want different methods to deal with whatever comes up? Do you want to not get angry in conversations? Please let me know. How do I deal with feeling overly critical of my partner? Do I have a video on this? Feeling overly critical of my partner. I'm not sure I actually have. Whenever you feel critical, whenever you notice yourself being critical, first of all, that's the first step, noticing that you are. And then the second step is accepting that these thoughts maybe are just not true and that they come from a different place. It's not that your partner is doing things wrong. It is that your fear brain, is using criticism in this moment to achieve a goal. And what is that goal? Are you wanting to break connection? Are you wanting to feel like everything is perfect so that you're safe? Is it that you're actually kind of overwhelmed with life, and because of that your partner just has to be perfect so you don't have to deal with any more overwhelm? Where is the criticism, that critical voice, coming from, and what purpose is it serving? As soon as you know that, you can observe it more than go with the thoughts of your fear brain, because that's what your fear brain wants, right? It wants you to be critical and be like, oh, he never does this and he never does that. And then you're in that energy, and that's just a recipe for breaking the connection. And if that's what your fear brain wants, then, you know, it has achieved its goal. But you want connection and you want love. So that's where you become the observer of the fear brain and what it's trying to do. And the more you become the observer, the more you take a step back, the more you have a choice to also respond differently. This is easier said than done. And to me, it's always easier to release whatever is underneath needing to be critical. And then you just don't feel the need to be critical anymore. Sometimes my fearful avoidant attachment makes me feel like I should break up rather than stay. Breakup urges is one of the next videos I will make. So I will answer about breakup urges in that video. Brienne says, I'm scared because I don't feel jealous anymore. I used to be insanely jealous, and now I'm in this avoidant I don't even care mindset again. It flips. Yeah, it can flip, isn't it? The interesting thing is that when things shift and flip, that's usually when we're healing. It's just very confusing. But is it really I don't even care? Or is it yeah, what does it feel like now? Is it a numbness? Is there a numbness to it? Because if you're used to jealousy, if you're used to that intense feeling, it can also be that you're actually healing and finding more safe ground, and therefore you don't need to be jealous anymore, and your fear brain is like, this is boring, you should be jealous because that's way more intense. And then it will tell you that this means that you don't care. If jealousy was your way to go and it made you feel like you cared about something or someone, then just being secure in yourself can actually feel like you don't care, even though you do. It's just in a different way that your fear brain doesn't understand. Oh, many questions. Ah, very welcome here, Goldie. In one ROCD video, you mentioned you experienced HOCD as well. How did HOCD affect the ROCD? The interesting thing with HOCD, for those who don't know, it's homosexuality OCD, where you have intense doubts about whether you're gay or straight. There are three subtypes of OCD that kind of go in circles. So if you have one of these, chances are that you have thoughts of the other ones too. So relationship OCD usually, generally, means that you have a lot of doubts about your feelings. Do I love them enough? Do I miss them enough? Am I excited enough to see them? You want your feelings to be more intense, because otherwise you're afraid that if not, you will have to break up with them. Homosexuality OCD means that you doubt whether you are gay or straight. And then you have pedophilia OCD, which means that you are afraid that you are actually attracted to children. There is a common denominator beneath all these three that took me a while to figure out, but I figured it out. And that is the fact that you don't have a choice. So none of these three have anything to do with what your thoughts are telling you. Homosexuality OCD has nothing to do with whether you're attracted to men or women. And pedophilia OCD does not mean that you're a pedophile. It is your fear brain trying to take away your choice, or being afraid that you don't have a choice. Because with relationship OCD and the intense doubts about the feelings you have, we all learn that you can't do anything about feelings. If the love is gone, the love is gone, and then you have to break up. And so you feel powerless over your feelings. You feel like you can't force your feelings, and so you will have to break up. With homosexuality OCD, what if I'm gay? Then I will have to break up. And I had this for a long time, and I remember just crying because I I didn't want to break up and I didn't want to live with a woman for the rest of my life. I have nothing against homosexuality. Um, it's just that I did not want to, and yet my brain was telling me, "You're gay. Um, you're fooling yourself. You're being delusional. You are gay. You've always known you're gay." And I actually had feelings for women, which is the crazy thing with HOCD, POCD, and ROCD. And that just goes to show how powerful our mind is. Your thoughts create feelings, and your feelings initiate thoughts. And so when you're obsessing over whether you're gay or not, you will feel things with people from the same gender. That doesn't mean that you're gay. So, and with pedophilia, OCD, I hated that one the most out of everything. I remember looking at a small child playing, a little girl in the playground. This was when I was, I think, 22, 23. I did not have any children of my own yet. And I was watching her play and I felt something in my body. And immediately that voice, that fear brain voice said, "You're attracted to a child. You're a pedophile and you should be in jail." And that was just, it was so heartbreaking because looking back, I can so clearly see that I felt love for that little girl playing in the playground. I was loving how she was freely playing. And there the fear brain came and just, knocked it down. And um but also there, it's, you don't have a choice. You have to go to jail and you will never see your partner again. So when I realized that these have a common denominator, and that it is actually designed to make you feel like you don't have a choice, it's your fear brain pushing you to break the connection and to break up, that's when I could say, okay, I do have a choice. I don't care whether I'm gay or not. I don't have anything against being gay. So maybe I'm bisexual. Fine. I can still stay with Ryan. And for the pedophilia OCD, I don't know if I kind of had the same decision making in that. I think I realized that I had certain feelings and that could also be love. And at this point, I kind of figured out the fear brain for the most part. So I knew what its ways were and where it was trying to push me towards. And so that really helped to break out of it. This was a very long answer, and I don't think I even answered your question. How did HOCD affect the ROCD? Well, it was just another type of doubt. I was just having doubts 24/7, super, super intense. And it kind of jumped from one to the other. So it wasn't that it like the HOCD was an obsession for a while, POCD was an obsession for a while, and then it would circle back to ROCD for a while. So I'm not sure if it impacted one or the other. It was more that it just kind of went in circles. Okay, now I think I answered your question. Wild Muse. I'm fearful avoidant and struggle with jealousy in both romantic relationships and friendships. It feels hard to hold on to the certainty that my partner, close friend, loves and values me when they choose others. Yeah, so here we touch on jealousy, right? Jealousy is just very intriguing. It's such a survival mechanism because we're wired for connection, even though we fearful avoidants have negative associations with connection. We are wired for it. Our bodies are wired for it. And there is a part of you, the anxious preoccupied usually struggles more with jealousy. And so when you're FA leaning AP, to do it all jargony, then you will probably struggle with jealousy more. And it is really just a way to make sure that your source of safety will always be available to you. So when you're a fearful avoidant, leaning, anxious, preoccupied, struggling with jealousy, all you're doing is trying to make sure that your source of safety, which is the other person, will be available for you 24/7. Always. And so everybody and everything that can come in between that is a threat. And the safety does not lie in just accepting that they will be with others. The safety is knowing that you cannot get anything from them that isn't in you. So your source of safety is and should be yourself. And this is for all the insecure attachment styles. Your source of safety should be yourself so that you can connect to another person. This doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. This doesn't mean that you have to be fully healed. This doesn't mean that you have to be or can be all alone and you don't need anybody else. This just means that as soon as you are trying to find safety in something else, that is going to stand in between you and your relationships. And the anxious preoccupied seeks that safety from somebody else in connection. The avoidant seeks that in not connecting and being free. And the fearful avoidant seeks that in intensity in emotions and feelings, being perfect, doing everything perfect. None of those things work. They won't bring you closer to the other person because you first have to get closer to yourself and be safe in yourself. So, the hard thing is you never have complete certainty. Nobody has in the whole world. And I know you want that, and that hurts if it's not there. And yet it is also the way to healing, because trying to find certainty that your partner and close friend loves you and values you when they choose others still puts that power in them giving you their full attention. And there's nothing in that pertaining to safety that you can't give yourself. Does that give somewhat of an answer? Well, Muse, let me know. Martini Save says, hey Pauline, first of all, thank you for giving us fearful avoidance techniques to repair, to make our lives better. Is there any way we can contribute to you? Oh, that is so kind. That is so sweet. Just truly, you working on yourself, you healing the fearful avoidant attachment style and finding more freedom and peace is why I do this. I love helping. I love being of service. And this is truly so kind of you to ask. But yeah, just all I want for you is freedom. That is what makes me the happiest. So the way to contribute is to go for it and believe that it is also available for you. Oh. Wait, I lost where I was. Sonia says, I am a partner and you help me understand my FA partner better. That's so good. I'm so happy to hear. Yesterday I showed your channel with a friend that might be an FA. Good. If they're open to it, that's amazing. I wish everybody would understand themselves better. Robin says, hi, I'm in Wisconsin. Almost forgot this was going on. But you're here. That's good. Welcome. Amazing that you made it. Sandra says, I find myself getting annoyed when mother-in-law asks me to do things for her that are simple, but she does them often and asks, but there's an expectation of saying yes. I am struggling to set boundaries. Boundaries are very legitimate in this case, and I said that first, and it can be interesting to see where that annoyance comes from, because I think your mother-in-law doesn't live with you. Maybe she does, but maybe she doesn't. I mean, if it's a 24/7 constant, then it's all boundaries. It really is all boundaries. You teach people how you um, want to be treated. Um, if you only see your mother-in-law once a month, for instance, it's interesting to see if there is any other route to the annoyance. Because growing up, my dad was a fearful avoidant. My mom wasn't a fearful avoidant, but she had her own issues that made her very controlling. And she would kind of see me as a puppet. She actually said this later on, that looking back, she did see me as a puppet more than a person. And so she felt like I just had to do everything she wanted, and I was witness to her life, and I had to be of service to her and help her constantly, all the time, every day, all day. So naturally, when I hit puberty, there was so much resistance, and she wouldn't accept no. She would not accept boundaries that would just, if I would say no, she would just keep talking to me. She wouldn't get angry, but she just would not leave me alone. She would follow me to my room and just keep talking and keep saying, why would you want to do this? And make me feel guilty. So there was no escaping her. And therefore, when I hit puberty, the resistance that I felt towards her was just incredible. Um, and I was beyond annoyed. And I always thought, okay, I'm just annoyed with my mom. Like, I didn't even really seek anything beneath that. It wasn't until I was further along in my healing journey where I realized how freaking scary it feels when you can't say no and there's no way to escape it. And it just felt suffocating. And I didn't even really start healing this until after my daughter was born. And I noticed that I was struggling so hard with taking care of her. There was so much in me that said, no, what about me? I've never been taken care of. And so I had noticed that I was still annoyed with my mom, but I just thought, that's typical mother-daughter relationship. But when it happened with my daughter, I was like, she didn't do anything wrong. She's a baby. Um, and so I dove into that and I healed it. And I noticed that because I healed it, I could stand my mom so much better. It's also because I don't see her 24/7. That would be hard. But now when I see her, yes, she asks me to do a lot. Like she's pretty helpless in a way. Um, but I don't mind. I don't mind doing stuff for her. Um, so it is boundaries, and it is seeing where the root of the annoyance is. And I'm not saying that you should heal the root of the annoyance so that you can be of service to others. This is just to be free of it for yourself so that you can make a conscious and clear choice whether you want to help someone or not, and not out of resistance not doing it, feeling guilty for not doing it, and or doing it because you feel like you can't say no. So this is all healing gives you. Healing gives you freedom, complete freedom, neutrality in all these areas. It's not that you're governed by feelings and resistance and fear and negative associations. It's just neutral. And you can choose to do certain things or not, whether you feel like that will be expensive or that will be helpful. And now I don't have any problem being helpful or being there for others. So my capacity to be of service has grown so much because of being of healing, but I didn't heal so that I could be of service, if you understand what I'm saying. It's a free choice now. I can also just choose not to be of service and I will be okay. I wouldn't feel guilty. I would be fine. So it's a free choice. Does that help, Sandra? Piotr was from Poland, I saw somewhere. Welcome, Piotr. You talked about obsessing over a partner's physical imperfections compulsively, comparing and analyzing them. How did you deal with this? What exercises do you recommend? I did not specifically deal with this well at all. It just went away when I started healing the fearful avoidant attachment style. What helped, though, was accepting myself. And this sounds weird, but whenever somebody comes to me and says, I am obsessing about my partner's flaws, physical things, 99.9% of the time, they grew up with a very judgmental, critical parent that would probably also make remarks about their physical appearance or the physical appearances of other people. And because of that, you've grown up with the idea that that's normal, that that's okay to be judgmental about others, to say things about others, people's bodies, the way they dress, the way they have their hair, whatnot. And that sounds innocent enough because it's about other people, right? But it's not, because you get really insecure because of that yourself. And you feel like you wouldn't be accepted. You feel like everybody is thinking about you in this way and being critical and judgmental and looking at your appearance. And you may have found a way that you portray yourself that you think is acceptable to the world or to the largest group of people. And so you criticize your partner. This is just learned behavior. What helps is seeing that everybody is perfectly okay the way they are, including yourself. And the moment I saw that and really started seeing myself as, hey, I can just be me. I can wear whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want, as long as it doesn't have the intention to hurt someone. And I expect secure attachment from other people. I expect somebody else to be securely attached. And a securely attached person would never judge based on appearance. I'm not saying you're a bad person at all. This is just learned behavior. This is just a fearful avoidant. And so you can unlearn it and you can release it and you can release the pain that is associated to it. And it will give you freedom like you wouldn't believe, because all of a sudden you get to be yourself. And so I expect other people to be securely attached and therefore accept me as I am. A securely attached person or parent would never make remarks about the way you dress, the way you choose to express yourself, your body, whatever. Just no comments whatsoever. It's not about that. It doesn't matter. So that's how I dealt with it. Just kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, wait, do I want to be completely accepted? Yes. Maybe I can do that for them too. And it was such a relief also to let go of having this pressure, this burden of having to control them and having to make sure that they're perfect. If you have that feeling, that was a parent doing that to you. That's where it started. You did not start this. You did not just, out of the blue think this. So they can just be whoever they want to be. And you can be whoever you want to be and dress the way you want and look the way you want. Love has nothing to do with physical imperfections. Wait, I have to kind of... Give me a second. I have a cold. I'm sorry. Suri Lakshmi. The Truth Within says, "Hi Pauline, I wish I could put into words how much your videos have helped me. I'm in your program, but still very much in my crash state." Oh, you know, you can always reach out to us, right? Whenever you are having a hard time, we're there for you. Robin says, "What's really crazy about my situation is that the avoidant part of my attachment style has never been triggered by someone who is loving and good to me before." Right. That makes sense. So finally, you have allowed somebody who is actually willing and able to make a connection, to make a commitment. And therefore, your avoidant part has been triggered. So that's progress, even if it doesn't feel like it. Martini Star says, "Have you made a video about how it's like to be securely attached?" You know, I don't know. I don't know if I did. I'll write it down, because I think that is a very good video topic. I think I have something along the lines of, but I'm not sure. And I will write it down. What it's like to be securely attached. It's pretty awesome. Robin says, "I had crazy new relationship energy with my current partner, but then a couple of things happened when he was critical but not trying to be cruel, and I reacted badly, and the feeling just disappeared." Yeah. But that is, you know, any relationship is going to be learning how to be with each other, and setting boundaries and teaching them how you want to be treated. Again, it's really just, that's not okay. I want you to be this and this and this way with me. Sonia says, "Can an FA be jealous even if it is obvious there's no reason to be jealous, like getting cold when the partner is talking with a common friend that will get married the next month?" Yeah, it can. Of course, jealousy is not a rational thing. So the rational thing might be to say, well, obviously that person's getting married, but the irrational fear brain is saying, threat, threat, threat. Everybody is a threat. Every single person is a threat. So yeah, that's possible. What makes an FA take the decision to heal? Usually when they're very, very fed up with where they are. Very, very, very done. And that has to come from themselves. And that is why I can so understand why it's frustrating to be a partner watching this channel, because you're like, this is what's going on. You know, it has a name, you can heal it. And then the fearful avoidant is like, nope. Either says it or says it in actions, but it really has to come from them. Okay, wait. This wave says, "Hi, joining from Washington, D.C. I've always struggled with envy, making comparisons, and feeling less than. I've worked on the beliefs. I still have this habit. What can I do to stop automatic comparisons?" Is this something that was learned also? Because usually this is learned behavior, making comparisons and feeling less than. It is also a way of not having to connect, because if you feel less than other people, you're always beneath them, and you can't connect here. Or you feel better than them, and then you can't connect here. The only way to connect is to feel equal to others, and to see that it does not matter what other people have, because we're all human. For the 10 things that they have that you don't have, they have 100 things that you and them both have. You know, you both sleep at night. You both wake up in the morning and get out of bed. You both take showers, however frequently. There's this might sound crazy, but there's so much more that you are the same in with everybody that you meet than that you're different. And if that scares you, that just means that connection scares you. And that's okay. That's just something to work on. But feeling less than serves the purpose of not being able to connect. And so what you can do to stop automatic comparisons is to heal your fear of connection and to start seeing where you're alike with other people. Even the people that seem so far ahead, that are super successful or whatever you put high on a pedestal, they're just people. And you have more in common with them than there is different between you. Hi, Bunny. Would you recommend taking time away from a relationship while I work on my own self-esteem and security? I'm not sure I'll be the same person or even want to drag my partner along. Well, this is a very personal choice, obviously. I mean, taking time away can help in not being triggered constantly all the time. And if it's trigger after trigger and you're constantly in a crash state and just cannot get out of it, it might help. Be sure to kindly and respectfully communicate it with your partner. It's not necessary, however. I get this question a lot, and there's always this underlying I have to be alone to really heal, which can also be an obsession and a fear brain thought. But that's not true. I mean, you can definitely heal in a relationship, and it both have its has its pros and cons. So being single and healing this has its pros and cons, and being in a relationship and healing this has its pros and cons. So it just depends on what you feel like you need and how much you get triggered in the relationship. And you'll be the same person. You'll just be more chill. It's not like you're becoming a completely different person. Robin says, wait. And he just tells me he loves me unconditionally, and I'm like, that's not possible. We haven't been together that long. I feel like when the NRE, what does that mean? I'm thinking new relationship energy. The new relationship energy wears off for him. Look, I decoded it. He'll see me clearly and leave. All right, so first of all, unconditional love is, in its most pure form, is something that you just feel constantly. It does not matter what the other person does or doesn't do. The reality is that it's very hard generally for people to completely unconditionally love somebody, even if they say they do or they want to. So what you are struggling with is vulnerability right now. There is the possibility that he will see something he doesn't like and leave. And you've experienced that when you were younger. Maybe your parents didn't leave physically, but they retreated emotionally. And so you feel like, oh, it's just a matter of time before he finds something and leaves. And that is not what a lot of people do. But the interesting thing is that we fearful avoidants try to find security in our feelings and in their feelings. If the passion is intense enough, then they'll stay. But passion and intensity of feelings are a very bad predictor of how well the relationship is going to go. Give me 1 second. So sorry. What is a better predictor is characteristics of your partner. If they are loyal, if they are committed, if they are friendly, if they are there are many characteristics, but is he the kind of person that gives up quite easily, or is he the kind of person that just stays and doesn't quit? That says more. And it sounds very unromantic, but I think we need to unromanticize the image that we have of relationships if we truly want to build beautiful, healthy, happy, romantic relationships. We have such a skewed image, and I can talk about that forever, because if you would look at feelings as the best predictor for the longevity of your relationship and how happy you are or how long you are together, then you could be with somebody that quits everything. And I'm not judging quitting. I'm not judging quitting. I'm not saying you should always just persevere and keep going. Absolutely not. But I I think about 16 and Pregnant, that show. It impacted me so much when that came out. I was a teenager around that time. I think I was a little bit older. I don't know. 16, 17, 18. And I watched so many episodes because of the psychological part of it. It's so interesting why these girls choose their partners and how the partners then respond while their girlfriend is pregnant and when the baby is there and shit gets real and it's really hard. And 9 out of 10 times, the people around the girl, so the parents and friends, they see what is going to happen, because that guy is he's not trustworthy. He quits easily. He can't hold a job. Whatever it is, they can see it coming. And the girl's like, no, but he loves me. And I love him. He'll be fine. And I know that's also just because they're scared out of their minds. I have so much empathy for that. And then my heart breaks always when those guys turn out to be exactly as a lot of people already said. They're not gonna stick around, because that requires a certain character. That requires character to stay and to make that commitment and to, take responsibility. And that is a much better predictor for actually a happy long marriage. The character of the partner you are with. Isn't that interesting? Just this little fact alone. Let's just talk about this for a little bit. Type in the chat if you haven't been participating. Did you know this? What does that do with you? Like, does that make you mad? Thinking, no, but I want that passionate, intense love, and I want to know that they'll be with me forever. I don't want to just choose a partner for his or her characteristics. I completely understand that's not what I'm saying, by the way, but just put it in chat and we'll talk about it. Just to kind of share my experience about that. So, as you know, I struggled with intense doubts about my relationship with Arjen, my now husband. And I was just so scared that my feelings weren't enough. I didn't love him enough. Da 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 da. And at one point, I just thought, you know what? You never know. Never, ever, nobody ever knows whether a relationship is going to last forever. Even if that is your intention and you really, really want that, you just don't know what happens in life. And that's okay. That is so much power right there if you can say that. And I can hear your fear brain going, what is she saying? Stop it. But that is freedom, to be able to say that. And yet Arjen now is the person that gets up with our baby, our 6-month-old baby, who has been sick for the past 3 days. I haven't slept 3 nights. I think I slept a combined 6 hours in 3 nights because the baby was awake all the time. And last night it was even worse, and he was crying all the time. And Arjen just every single time leaps out of bed, takes the baby, and walks around with him. And last night I was just in the dark. I could see a little bit of light on him. I was looking at him. I was like, I made such a good choice. I made such a good choice. He's not perfect, guys. Don't think he's like absolutely perfect. But he is pretty fucking amazing. And yeah, especially in these really hard times with a toddler and a baby, he's here for me. And being amazing. And that's his character. He doesn't just do that because he loves me. He does that because he is a good guy and he loves me. And that used to be a threat. Like, it used to be, oh, he just does that because he's a good guy. He doesn't do that to love me because he loves me. And now when I think about that, I'm like, well, of course you want a good guy. Of course you want somebody who takes responsibility and is there for you through the hard times, because that's that's a blessing to have that. And they love you. Both. They chose you. And from that choice shows their love. Interesting, right? Okay, wait, let's see what you said. I'm afraid I won't find back where I was. Can I just, how can I? I'm very new to YouTube lives, if you haven't noticed yet. Let's see if I can. No. Okay, I'm not sure if I can find this back, but I just want to open a discussion on this. Wyman says, I broken up with people because of a lack of passion when it felt more like friends. Now I'm with someone who I have both, who I've both with, but the passion is definitely a lot less than other relationships. Well, exactly, because as a fearful avoidant who is obsessed with just very intense feelings, you want all the feelings and as intense as possible all the time. And because of that, I always believed that as soon as you feel something that resembles friendships, run for the hills, because resembles friendship, run for the hills, because uh, otherwise you'll just end up friends and then you'll divorce, da di da di da. Little did I know that from research, again and again, it shows that the most important factor in a happy marriage is friendship, a foundation of friendship. I've interviewed, if you don't know, 100 couples happily married over 40 years. And this is what they told me again and again and again and again. We're best friends. He's my best friend. She's my best friend. And there's passion. But it's like 90 to 95% friendship and 5% is that cherry on top. It's amazing, but it doesn't rule our relationship. And there's times where it's gone and then it comes back again, and that's fine. Friendship is what makes the basis, the foundation of your relationship stable. And on that stable foundation, you can build a castle. And what we are trying to do in this society, based on what Hollywood movies are trying to teach us, is that we are trying to build air castles on quicksand. It's not working. You know, feelings, intense, passionate feelings are not a foundation to build a castle on. And with a castle, I mean, obviously, a beautiful, abundant relationship, better than you can ever imagine. So I'm pretty passionate about that, about teaching people about passion. And that doesn't mean that you don't have passion, just to be very, very clear. There's a different source of passion that can last a lifetime, and that is intimacy. And to be able to be truly intimate and vulnerable, you have to feel safe in the relationship. And to feel safe in the relationship, you have to have that foundation of friendship. I could talk about this for 3 hours easily, just this. Jen says that's super helpful. Just went through a break of a roller coaster, passionate relationship that he ended. And I could see how he quits many things. Exactly. Look at their character. Look at what they're showing you. And I know this sounds like I'm such a mom almost. I've turned into your mom, but it shows you whether they will be there. And I mean, they can love you so much and yet are not able to take responsibility and to stick with it and be there when times get rough. And that's what you need, and that's what you deserve. Kiara, intense feelings too soon feels like a red flag, and I ignored that in my last relationship. It can be. If you have trauma and you're aware of that, then yeah, that it can be. Wild Muse says that's so true. My partner I've been with for 7 years, it was all built on that passionate connection and intensity, and I eventually gave up on trying to build the castle with him. Exactly. It's hard. Okay, wait. Do you ever get to the point of trusting? Wait, let's just see if there's more on characteristics. What about infatuation? Were you infatuated immediately after meeting your husband? What is infatuation? Like, I had some in love feelings. I was obsessed with him, but maybe even more obsessed with my feelings about him. I don't know if I could say it was infatuation. And I'm not saying, by the way, that if you have a passionate relationship that that's wrong, or that you can't build from that to like a very solid relationship. It's just that we romanticize and put on a pedestal passion and passionate relationships, and that's not right. That doesn't lead to happy marriages per se. Okay. Let's see if I can find. Oh, here I was. Oh, that was easier than I thought. Wait. Yeah. I'm not talking to any of you. I'm talking to a box that appeared. Okay, wait. Slight FA here with a DA partner really struggling in discussions where both don't feel heard. How to break the cyclical arguments and understand each other better. Figure out what you need to feel heard, because a dismissive avoidant is usually more rational, and this is very generalistic, obviously, is more rational and more logical, and he might here I go, just assuming, by the way, that you're female and he's male. That is not right in many ways. But the DA partner might need different things to feel heard, which may be acknowledgement or respect or whatever that looks like. And then the fearful avoidant needs to feel safe and feel like you won't be left abandoned. But honestly, this is something that can very well be addressed in couples therapy. I know that sounds like you don't go to couples therapy, but that can help so much. And then especially emotionally focused therapy. I think just a few sessions of that can help with this so much. What's the difference between fearful avoidant and ROC? Fearful avoidant is an attachment style. So it says something about the way you were attached to your parents when you were young, from a baby upwards. And that attachment style dictates a lot about how you view the world, but especially how you view relationships and your own self-worth. And it impacts so many areas of your life. One of the ways the fearful avoidant attachment style specifically can impact you is that you have a lot of fear because one of your parents was a source of love and a source of danger at the same time. They could be very angry, they could be very critical or judgmental. And because of that, you have this weird flip-flop relationship with wanting love, but also being very scared of love. And because there was so much fear when you were younger, because your parents were very critical, for instance, that just turns on your fear brain and can set it into overdrive. And that can lead to relationship OCD. So that means you need to know 100% for sure that this is the right choice, or else there's this or else feeling, or else I will have failed. Everything will go wrong. I will be in danger. I won't be safe. So there's definitely a difference between the two. Not every fearful avoidant has ROCD, and not every person with ROCD is a fearful avoidant, even though I think the last one is probably like most most people with ROCD actually have a fearful avoidant attachment style underlying that. Thank you, Pom Pom. Oh, Sandra, you do live with your mother-in-law, and you had similar experience with your family. Yeah, exactly. So there's always this root, usually from our childhood, that makes it annoying. And so now there's just a challenge for you ahead to really learn how to set boundaries. So how you could set boundaries is, yeah, I don't know enough about your situation to really give you a boundary that you can use specifically. But usually a loving boundary is acknowledging, hey, I see that you need help. I completely understand. I won't be able to do this right now. I will be able to do this. So I could help you figure out a system that actually works for you so that you can find whatever you need in every moment. But I do have to say that I have to be culturally sensitive here, because I don't know what culture you're from. I don't know what the dynamic usually is. There are cultures, obviously, where that is absolutely unheard of, that you would say that to an elder. That is just not something you do. Um, so navigating that, I am not sure, but I do know that boundaries is the way to go, and there should be a way to set boundaries with every single person in your life, no matter from what culture you are. And otherwise, it's not for nothing that we in this generation are learning the importance of boundaries. Cultures are cultures, but they're also sometimes evolving, and should be evolving. Okay. Oh, man. All right. Let's answer a couple more questions. I hope this is valuable for all you. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Christopher, well, I just bursted out crying out of nowhere. Oh, I'm giving you a hug all the way from here. Thank you for talking today. I just now realized why I reacted to my new children in that way, where I felt like I was never cared for, right? Well, yeah, that's because you weren't. That's because you weren't. And there's a big wound there, and it is very brave to look at that wound and heal it. And children will be a mirror for your pain and your trauma. It is one of the toughest things I find in parenting, that you're struggling, you're going through all this pain yourself, and you are kind of like running on empty in a way, that you never had this for yourself. Like, you never had a parent that was just unconditionally there for you, and yet you're trying to be that person for your kids. It's very hard. You're a generation, how do you say that? There's a word for it. Can't think of it. A chain breaker. And that's hard. It's hard to do. But it's amazing that you're aware of it. Love how there's like a conversation going on in the comments between some of you. Shot by Man says, "Hi Polly, how can I manage the panic I feel as relationship progresses, especially when I worry about not living up to their emotional expectations or hurting them?" It's so good that you're aware of this, because this is a dismissive trait, and usually dismissives aren't even really aware of this. Fearful avoidants can definitely have this too. So, manage the panic. Well, obviously, I'm going to say emotional freedom technique, because that's what I use all the time. Still to this day, I use it because it's just such an amazing tool. So that's the weird tapping that I do. I have a couple of videos on that. And then also educate yourself on the fact that emotional expectations are their expectations. And for a lot of dismissives, that's very scary, because they never learned how to meet needs. It is not your job to meet expectations. It is your job to see and figure out what needs your partner has, and to see if you can help them fulfill it. And there is a distinction between those two, because expectations, feeling like you have to live up to expectations, usually feels like there is no choice. You have no say in the matter. And when you don't, you fail. And that other person is going to be very, very upset. And it can also be very vague. Like, you can have this feeling that you have to just meet everybody's expectation all the time, or your partner's expectation all the time. And when it is being brought back to needs, it's actually identifiable. Like, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need emotional support in this way. I need emotional support in that way. And for a lot of dismissive avoidance, it's like, oh, this is good. I kind of have the manual now. Of course, I want to be there for you. Now I know how, and now I can do that. Um, so, yeah, it's part releasing the panic of not meeting expectations and hurting them, or disappointing them, maybe even more. And also educating yourself on how to meet needs and what needs are. Well, Mia says, "Well, this feels so relevant. My mom always criticized everyone's appearance and was super judgy. I grew up with that as normal, and I get inwardly critical of partners." It never comes out of nowhere. So it completely makes sense that your mom had that too. Yeah. And a lot of times it's the mom. It's interesting, right? With me, it was my dad, but was very critical. But he learned it from his mom, who was crazy critical. So interesting. Okay. All right. I am going to answer 3 more questions. Paula says, "Hello, Paulina, got your program. Love it. Is it normal when healing thoughts come up? Like, what if I don't meet my partner after healing? What if they leave me?" Yeah, this is very, very classical fear brain thinking and ROCD thinking. Not saying that you have ROCD, but it's very logical. It is your fear brain trying to keep you in the space that you are in right now. It just does not want you to move. It does not want you to heal, because here in fear, it feels like it can keep you safe. You have to be fearful. You have to have fear, because then you pay attention, because then you can change if needed, because then you can see everything coming. And so, yeah, it's very normal, and you don't need to take that very seriously. So great to hear, Christopher. Heidi Prieb, yeah, she's amazing, isn't she? Should we do a collab with Heidi Prieb? That would be good. I would love to talk to her. Can we do a shout out at Heidi Prieb? I don't even know if I'm saying her name right. Okay, 2 more questions to go. How do you deal with bodily sensations, anxiety in the body? I've gotten better at mentally processing a lot of the anxieties that come up with the fearful intentions, but the physical sensations still come up. Well, yeah, and that's fine. So the best way to deal with bodily sensations and anxiety is just to allow it to be there. And one of the exercises I teach is the empty vessel exercise. So usually when we don't learn how to deal with emotions or bodily sensations, we try to repress them as they're coming up. So we repress them right here, or here, or here. And you can actually feel a wave of a feeling coming up and stopping it, like at the top of your tummy, or here, or here. And what I want you to do is see yourself as an empty vessel through which that emotion comes. And the first few times I did this, this was just something I kind of figured out, like, I'm repressing this, but it means that it wants to come up and wants to go somewhere. Well, where does it want to go? And I was so scared of trying this out because I felt like the more I let it come up, the more I would acknowledge that that feeling was true, and then I would have to do something with it. So if it was tension in my relationship, I would acknowledge that that meant that my relationship wasn't right, and so I had to break up. And so what I did when I felt that tension, I just stuffed it back down and tried to make myself feel like it wasn't there. But turns out any and all feelings are just completely safe to feel. They're not a master over you. They can't force you to do anything. They can't force you to break up. And so when I started seeing myself as a vessel through which these emotions come up and away, that really helped. And sometimes it helped to like blow them out, like exhale. Sometimes I would see them going out of the top of my head. But feelings are not meant to be repressed. They are not meant to be pushed down. They are meant to just move through your body and out. But because we assign so much meaning to every single feeling that we have, because we're actually quite afraid of our feelings, that's why we push them down. We don't want to feel them, because if I feel this feeling, that means that that's true, even though that's never true. It's never true. There's no feeling that can tell you a truth and that can make you do something that you don't want to do. Everything is just, it's mostly just echoes from the past. And even if, your relationship would bring up tension, it is fine to feel that and to work through that. By repressing everything, you're just getting yourself in a very anxious state. So you said, I think somewhere, the bodily sensations and anxiety. When you repress bodily sensations, that would lead to constant anxiety. So that makes sense that it feels like that. Okay, one more. Mario says, hey, can you give me some additional information on the trigger of fooling yourself? It is like the boss of all my triggers, and it is really hard to do internal work out of anxiety of it being true. Okay, first of all, I could do a whole hour on this too. Such a good question, Mario. Fooling yourself when you are working on yourself this hard is just completely illogical. You are working on healing. You are doing this internal work. You are self-reflecting. How in heaven's good gracious name are you fooling yourself? You are looking at every single thing 1,000 times more than any other person. That's one. The second one is fooling yourself comes from the belief that you have to follow something. So there can be something inside you that tells you you have to break up, and you're not listening to that, and therefore you are fooling yourself, and therefore you are dumb or naive. That's usually what your fear brain comes with. Your fear brain is just not a very nice, whatever it is, voice. So it comes from the belief that you have to follow something. What if I told you that actually, we are not meant to follow our feelings or follow our thoughts. We are meant to create what we want. We are meant to create what feels expansive, what feels relaxing, what feels good. But good is just so muddied when you're a fearful avoidant. So other words like relaxing and expansive usually give more of a direction in which to go. So what I mean by that is that when you want to be happy and you're not happy, you could say you're fooling yourself, you're not happy. But you can acknowledge that you are not happy right now, but intend to be happy. And there are so many ways that you can do that. If you have to believe that you have to follow, then you will be in a continuous loop because your whole body, your whole system is not meant to be followed. You are meant to lead it. So you are meant to say, this is what I want. I want happiness. I want relaxation. I want to be at ease. I want to feel loved. I want to feel cherished. And then what you do is you conjure up those feelings as if they are already here. And you can very well do that while acknowledging that right now in your life, you don't feel very loved. You don't feel very challenged. You don't cherished. You don't feel very happy. You conjure up those feelings and you allow yourself to feel them. There will be negative associations to those feelings because the more we want a feeling, the less we are allowing that feeling in because we're scared of it. So I can say, oh, I just want to be happy. I want to be happy so bad. The more badly you want to be happy, the more scared you are of being happy. Because being happy can have a lot of negative associations. It could be if you had a critical parent that being happy was just you were too elated. What's wrong with you? What happened? That you got comments like that. Being happy could mean that you're not paying attention, that you're just with your head in the clouds. Being happy could mean that you won't see the other shoe drop and then it will just be out of nowhere, come out of nowhere. There can be a lot of negative associations with being happy. That doesn't matter. The fact that it doesn't feel good to allow happiness does not mean that you cannot feel happiness or that you shouldn't feel happiness. If you are still in the following mindset, you would say, oh, this happiness feeling that I'm trying to conjure up doesn't feel good. Oh, I have to feel bad about myself again. And you follow what your fear brain is kind of like pushing you towards. When you become the leader, you say, all right, I see that I have negative associations around this, around feeling happy. That's fine. I'm going to feel this feeling. I'm going to maybe write some things down. And then I'm going to release on that. And you can do that in different ways. Mine is, again, the emotional freedom technique. I use that the most. And honestly, lately, I think the past few years and especially months, I've not been tapping at all, pretty much. I've just allowed feelings to just come through. So I would tune in this example, tune into happiness and just allow all the negative feelings to come up because I know they're echoes from the past. They don't say anything about me right now. Anyone who is alive on this planet is worthy of feeling happy, is worthy of feeling loved and cherished and all the feelings that you want to feel. And you have in you all those feelings that you want to feel. The reason you're not feeling them are the negative associations you have around them. As soon as you release those, as soon as you heal those, happiness will become available to you. Safety will become available to you. And when you feel those feelings of safety, happiness, feeling loved, your surroundings change. And we can get very spiritual and woo-woo here, but if you're still on the very, research-backed psychological track, it's also just psychology because your brain cannot register all the impulses that are coming at it in every second. And so it kind of filters through, and it filters through based on your belief system and the way you feel. And so when you lead yourself to feeling different things, to thinking different things, your environment will change. This is a process. It's a beautiful process. But you are not meant to follow your feelings and follow your thoughts. If you do that, you will be in a loop that is actually from the past, because everything that is coming at you now are echoes. They are beliefs and things that other people have said to you in the past. Your parents, society, whoever. All the things you are feeling are also echoes from the past. They're triggers, things that happen now that remind you of a time when. The moment you start leading your thoughts and start leading your beliefs and your feelings, that's when you create your life. And again, we can go very woo-woo in this, and I'm all for it, but it's also just very psychological. Okay, so that was a rant. Very calm rant this time. Gosh, you guys, so many questions. I love this. Let me know what you think of this cycle breaker. Yep. Muse says, "Whoa, that's a big insight. I realize I'm so run by my feelings." Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Unless you start being that leader, you take that leadership position, because your fear brain is not very happy in its leadership position. It's not doing a very good job either, if you're aware of that. Because it doesn't want to be. The moment you say, fear brain, I got this, it'll be okay. Your fear brain is like, huh, thank goodness. Exactly. Our bodies and feelings are meant to be listened to, so that's the acknowledging of what there is now. It's totally fine that whatever I'm feeling is here now. And usually it's an echo from the past, so it's like a small inner child who is saying, please listen to me. But everything in you needs your leadership. Okay, that was the last question, and it ended with almost like a rant masterclass on leading your emotions and leading your feelings and leading your thoughts. So that's a beautiful way to end this live. I'm so happy you were here, as always. My studio is still not ready at all. I don't know if it will be next week, so it might be that we're back next week with another live. That could happen. I actually do enjoy these. Do you enjoy that too? You have so many good questions, which is amazing, because it gives me so much food for thought for new videos. Okay, sweethearts, I am going to end this stream, and I will see you whenever. Just please answer the question. I might make a poll, but do you want more pre-recorded videos, or do you want more lives and Q&As? I don't know what will happen in the future, but that will be good to know. All right, I am going to end this, and I am so happy you are here, and I will see you next time. All right, bye bye.